All right, so we're talking about Time Bandits.
Time Bandits.
And nostalgia and the remake, and you had thoughts.
Right. There are some shows where I don't mind watching a reboot because I know whatever they do isn't going to mess up the relationship I had with it. Like, I'm a big fan of the Addams Family. The movie Raul Julia and Angelica Houston was perfect around that time. I'm a big Monsters fan. Now, I didn't like the movie that Rob Zombie made, but I am so glad it was made, right?
Yeah, well, because it gets other people's attention and it draws them back to watch the old ones.
Right.
Yeah.
And stuff like Foundation or Wheel of Time or all those things, I always say it isn't the same story that the book had, but I like the story it's telling.
Yeah.
Right? That way I can separate my memory of the Foundation books with the show that's on Apple TV, which is a totally different show, but damn, McPherson is in it, so we gonna be happy. Right? Okay. Right? Let's be really real. Time Bandits is different because Time Bandits is in that thin niche where I was really into absurdist British comedy. And no one does it like Monty Python, at least not in the time that I was growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, since then you have folks like Little England, Little Britain and all them folks, and they're doing amazing work, but it just doesn't hit the same because Monty Python will always be it.
Right.
And for that reason, I'm really hesitant, even with Tiki Waititi, is that how you
say it? Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Why am I so bad with this man's name? If there was anyone I would trust with it, would be him.
Yeah, I mean, Absolutely. He's kind of a spiritual successor, I think.
Yeah. Right. He gets it. He understands it, right? I don't know if it's going to satisfy my particular flavor of nostalgia for the absurd. Right. And so I'm just going to walk by it and just be thankful that it's here. Because I want folks to experience that. Yeah. And I want folks to get a taste of it. And I do want them to get the story with modern sensibilities as well. I want that for them. But I don't know if it's going to make me happy. Yeah. Because I was with the original.
Yeah, I am curious to go back and watch the original because George speaks very highly of it. But he's laughing out loud while we're watching this.
Oh, good.
And he doesn't always do that.
Good.
So he was a big fan of the original, and he is very much enjoying this one and like giggling while he is also like doing like whatever on his phone while he's watching it, but he is amused by the new show.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that because that tells me a lot about it. That gives me trust that if I do decide that I won't be as disappointed as I'm afraid I'm going to be.
I mean, it's a very silly show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely been updated too because the last this episode that we watched, it was during the Black Plague, I think, and the kid is trying to convince them they want to kill the cats because they think that the cats are witches or something. And so the kid is trying to convince them that no, you don't want to kill the cats because the cats eat the rats and the rats carry the plague. And then they argue about where the plague comes from. And so at some point the kid and the bandits have to pretend that they're witches in order to survive something. And one of the things that they do is he has a cell phone and he has pre-recorded the bandits doing something on the cell phone. And then he comes out in this ridiculous costume and pretends that he's using this magic box to trap the bandits. And then they run like, they're supposed to disappear, but they just like run around the building, and everybody's like, we all saw them like run around the building. Like, and he's like, no, I trapped them in the box. And then he turns on his little like iPhone or whatever and plays this. And they're all, and Lisa Kudrow's like, oh no, we're stuck in the box. Help us, get us out of the, whatever. Um, and so one of the guys that's in charge of the town steals the phone from him, and he's like, "Now I have your magic box." And then the next scene, you see this guy on the phone, and he's playing like some kind of game on the phone,
like, Candy Crush.
To the point where I started wondering if like maybe he's a time traveler too, because he seems to have. But phones are not that hard to figure out, as it turns out.
No.
So, like, that's something that they couldn't have done in the original. So I'm curious about, what other things they've maybe changed or.
Yeah. The digital makes everything seem futuristic nowadays.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything particular to talk about this week other than the fact that the first show drops on Monday.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, and then my book is coming out on Friday. So, or not this Friday, next Friday, the 13th. Friday the 13th.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's... Yeah, so Monday, so it'll be the Friday after this comes out.
Right. So how are you feeling about it?
I'm a little bit nervous because I thought I had a timeline set out and it's not working out the way that it, but it's fine. So I spent this whole week uploading it to all the places. And then and so KDP was no problem. I uploaded everything to KDP and everything was fine. And then immediately after I hit submit, discovered another typo and had to like wait 3 days before KDP will let you change it again. And so I'm like, so then during those 3 days I'm going through it and I'm like, please let this be the last one, because if I change it and then I got to wait 3 more days, if I can't keep doing that, after a certain point, there's a cutoff.
Right.
So I made the changes in the paperback and then I made the changes in the ebook and then I uploaded those again. And then I upload it to draft to digital. Mm-hmm. And that went reasonably well. And then I went to do Ingram Spark.
Oh, goodness. For the hardcovers, for those paperbacks. Yeah.
For the paperbacks. Yeah. So I'm having an ongoing battle with Ingram Spark. Because they sent me an email. I mean, they sent this to everybody. They sent an email that says, for your information, Target is raising this fee that they have that's associated with buying your book.
Right.
And this email reminded me that I had previously asked them some questions about Target and this fee specifically. Mm-hmm. And they haven't ever answered me. So I went back and was like, hey guys, remember this question I had about the fee? It's an even bigger question now because the fee is bigger.
All right.
Because their fee is based on a percentage of the sale price and not a percentage of compensation or anything else. So some Target somewhere bought my book a few months ago. It only bought one, but because of that, it was in May. And that was the only copy of my book that got bought through Ingram Spark that entire month. Mm-hmm. Because of whatever fee Target is applying, my compensation for May is negative 39 cents. So like I owe Ingram Spark 39 cents because Target bought my book and wants to sell it. I'm like, how is that? So I had emailed them and I was like, look, if they're going to charge a fee that exceeds my compensation, I do not want to distribute to them anymore. Like, could we, and there's a lot of back and forth where they're not answering the question. And then they finally came back and they were like, distribution is all or nothing now. Like, I guess that you used to be able to click into it or not into it, opt out of it. But distribution is all or nothing. So either you just distribute to everybody or you distribute to nobody. And I'm like, if I distribute to nobody, what is the point of having you guys?
Right.
Like, what are you doing for me if you're not distributing my book? Because, like, I can get it printed anywhere.
Right. Exactly that.
So, yeah. So so then they tried to tell me that it's not possible that I had negative compensation and that they've never charged me, for being in the negative. And so then
I roll out this receipt.
Right. Well, so then I go get the invoice and I mean, it's copy of it and I sent it to them. I'm like, look, just because I think they're not seeing it because it hasn't been paid out yet because it's 90 days after whatever. Um, and then, that's a whole other problem is that I tried to change my bank account from my personal account to my new business account.
Right.
And for some reason, my bank rejected the first payment that Ingram tried to send them. And I couldn't get the bank to explain what the problem was. So I went back to Ingram and was like, if I can't send it to this bank, the alternative is that I get paid through PayPal. And I'm like, that seems fine with me as long as there are no fees associated with this.
Right.
And they're like, there are no fees associated with being paid through PayPal, but there is a threshold. And so they're not going to pay out until you have earned
$100 or some such.
No, it's not even that high. It's like $25 or $30.
Oh.
They're not going to pay out. And I was like, fine, sure, whatever. But so that's why I haven't been paid out from May yet. Bless you. Is because between May and now, I haven't sold enough books on Ingram Spark to make $25. Bless you. So I'm like, y'all are not proving your worth to me. If like I haven't been paid out because I haven't sold enough books to make $25 yet. Like, what is the point of this?
I'm starting to not understand why I have you.
Right. I mean, it's just they don't seem to be doing anything. Like, I don't know. I feel like the amount of work that I have to do to get a book in a bookstore, on top of Target is now charging me more than I'm actually making, is making the whole having a book in a bookstore not necessarily like a goal for me anymore. It's maybe I just accept the fact that I'm just going to be selling everything over the internet, and why not?
It's more work than you would have put out right now.
Right.
And you've already gotten your serotonin hit from seeing your books in the store.
Yeah.
So
I have pictures of it on a ship. I have pictures on it on a shelf. So like it has existed on a shelf. I know that exists, but I told them in my last email, I was like, if you guys can't get me out of this Target thing, I have a second book that's about to come out and I'm not sure that I need you. Like, why should I upload, my second book through you if this is how this is going to work? And then they didn't answer me.
Right.
So in the meantime, I went ahead and tried and got everything ready to try to submit my second book through Ingram, on the off chance that they say something I like at some point.
Right.
And they rejected the cover because it's got like the wrong RGB or the wrong CT, I don't know, something wrong. And then they rejected the interior. And I'm like, the interior is black and white. Like, I don't even have any pictures.
Right.
So I don't understand why it was rejected because of the color codes. And so I went into Facebook and I had looked, and a bunch of other people had the same problem with the interior being rejected because of a color code, and they just told it to ignore, and it came out fine. So I was like, well, that's what I'll do. But the cover is a problem. And so then I went back to Get Covers, who are the people who designed my cover. Mm-hmm. And I looked at my thing because this happened with the first book too. And then Get Covers charged me $5 to upgrade the document to something that Ingram would like.
Right.
Because they had optimized the design for KDP on the first one. So when I bought the second one, I was like, I want this one optimized for Ingram Spark because KDP will take whatever. KDP does not care.
Right.
So I was like, optimize it for Ingram Spark. And so I thought that's what it was until Ingram rejected it. So I went back to them and I was like, hey guys, see in our documents where it says this is supposed to be optimized for Ingram Spark and it does not appear to be. And they're like, oh, let me get back to your designer about that. And so then she leaves me alone for like 3 or 4 days. And eventually, and then comes back and is like, here you go. And I upload the new one they gave me and it went right through. I'm like, why did you give? And so now I bought the second cover and the third cover at the same time. So I imagine the third cover is going to have the same problem. And I'm going to have to go back and be like, but by then I may have completely given up on Ingram Spark and I won't need it anymore. So
right. The only reason why you do Ingram Spark is because they have the 7.25 by like 4.5 pocketbook size.
Okay.
Those like dime store novel
Oh yeah,
trims. That's the only reason why I use them
yeah.
at
Okay.
all. No, seriously.
Right.
Then it was only for Kickstarter.
Okay.
So I don't have an interest in having my books in stores like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never, once I stopped doing the Kickstarters with those books, I stopped using Ingram Spark. So,
Yeah.
but they were still a pain. But they really printed out my books well.
Yeah, I mean they come out the books come out really nice. They
Uh-huh.
look good. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's worth it to keep trying to do.
No, I get it.
Like I will still have paperbacks. It's just that they will go through Amazon, I guess, because um,
There's no reason to go through this aggravation
right,
when the trim that you want is through Amazon.
right.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I was looking at Draft to Digital does print now,
Mm-hmm.
but they do their print through Ingram. So I'm like, I'm not. I need to look into how it works more so I can see if like what their fee situation is, because if they're just going to be a go between me and Ingram, I don't know that I need that either.
Well, it depends. If they can take away the frustrations you've been having, like if they can tell you ahead of time, it's like, yeah, you're gonna need to change that color, darling. Then maybe they might be helpful
Yeah,
at a price that isn't so high, or
yeah,
they'll be able to explain what this practically means for you. When
yeah.
Target says that we're gonna raise our fees, then maybe. Um, I Drafted Digital has always been good about lowering evening out that learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
So I have full faith that this is the same thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
would see if they can ease some of your woes.
Yeah,
Truly.
I might have to, because I've been looking into, because they have a software thing in where you can take your ebook and then they'll format it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I probably wouldn't do it on my third book because my third book needs to match my first book and my second book, and I formatted them in Word.
Mm-hmm.
um, but when I get to my fourth book will not be part of that initial trilogy,
Right.
so it doesn't necessarily have to match. So I might go in for that and use, because they do have some interesting, like they have different genre format options that have like these cool chapter art at the top, and so that might be something that's worth exploring 2 books from now.
Yeah, it would be. And at the end of that trilogy is the perfect jumping off point where you can just say, I decided to go in a new direction.
Right.
Right. So it just kind of takes all of that off of you.
Yeah.
I'm still. It's first of all, it's good to hear that you're getting so much stuff done, because I'm still feeling my well over here after it's been a really hard time emotionally
Mm,
for me, because I'm just kind of fully opening up with what I'm doing spiritually, which is part of the creative life for me.
uh-huh.
And when I do that, I get tired and I don't want to do anything else. But here's the thing, and this is the thing I'm celebrating, is that before it was because I was depressed, because I was drained,
Mm-hmm.
because I was emotionally just, because I was sad and I was fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Now now that I've did these really emotionally demanding things with my spirituality, and essentially just open my mouth and saying the messages that I need to say. Once I did that, the fear went away and the exhaustion set in.
Okay.
And so I was exhausted, and then I got sick, probably because I was exhausted,
Probably.
but I recovered, and then spent the weekend at the races, went to the Le Mans, Longhorn Le Mans, where Saturday Bill immediately got sunstroke because he wasn't used to all that heat. 92 degrees in the air, 116 on the asphalt. It just zapped him.
It's a lot. It is
It's
a
a
lot.
lot. But the snow cones came in clutch.
Snow cones.
And snow cones and the Texas fries from Pork Booty in
Mhm.
Austin. They just that in the shade, it was
Okay, what
perfect.
makes it a Texas fry?
What makes it a Texas fry is that there is a gluttonous amount of meat on it.
Okay.
Because the usual fries will have a protein of some sort, and then it will have sour cream and pico and avocado and all that,
Mhm.
cheese, all that. This had brisket on it.
Oh, wow.
This had carnivero, which I believe is a shredded stewed chicken, I think, and another pork of some type that I forget. It was just good and well seasoned.
Nice.
And there was roughly 12 ounces of meat, 4 ounces of each type of meat piled up on this
Oh, wow.
with an aioli and this gorgeous barbecue sauce that they have for there. And that's what made them Texas. It was just gluttony. It was a whole lot of meat. And it was for two. So we shared it.
Okay.
And I just needed him to get food in him.
Yeah.
So after that, um, he recovered some, and I asked him, did he want to go home? He decided he wanted to, so we went home. And we got prepared and well hydrated for Sunday. We went in, stayed at turn 3. I found a space where we were in the sun for about an hour. He brought an umbrella. After
Mhm.
that hour, we stayed in the shade until about 7:30 and had a great time. We filled
Okay.
that well. And I thought that I was going to kind of jump into like setting up the RSS feed for Apple because I decided I wanted to do that instead of creating a new account. That was one of the small but like essential things that need to be done. Um, I have gotten all my things together for the playtest for Medusa's Trucking.
Mhm.
Got the final formatting because I needed to reformat the books for Stabby for the Kickstarter. I redid all the formatting, but now I have to re-upload it, much like your book.
Right.
But you have to do it page by page.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where if it was it's something like Vellum, where you upload it and you just have to
Okay.
make some tweaks, it'd be fine. But no, you got to go through the entire thing. I didn't do that. I felt the momentum and the motivation to do them,
Mhm.
and and when it was time to do them, I didn't have to fight ennui. I didn't have to
Mhm.
fight sadness. I just got up and did it and sat down. But then after I did a few of those things, I realized I was too tired to do the
Yeah.
rest of them. And I was like, is this how it feels to be tired and lazy? If like tired and kind of like not having the juice, but not depressed? And I
Just
had
like
this.
physically tired.
Yes, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just actually physically tired, or I'm just like mentally tired. I'm not depressed. And I needed
Yeah.
to kind of sit and see how that felt. And not only that, but how to rest without burning yourself out.
Yeah. I mean, because it sounds like even you saying you didn't do that much, but it still sounds like a lot.
Well, it sounds like a lot because my threshold is a lot. I just do a
Mhm.
lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
this is relative to what I usually do a lot,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Well, not much, but it's still a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I also have to keep in mind, that I do a lot of shit. Like, And so I'm kind of embarrassed coming up here and telling you, it's like, yeah, I didn't get, like, I only got half of the stuff done that I wanted to
Oh, but
get
it's
done.
still a long list of things. I think you and I both need to work on, because we both had this burnout situation. We both got sick, and we both had like a couple of weeks where we were just dead.
Right.
And then now we're both, I think, starting to feel the energy and wanting to come back. And I'm like, I'm really starting to get worried. I'm going to like overdo it. And then it's going to be back to like, because I was working and working and working. And then I had a couple of weeks where I was just like, miserable and grouchy, and then I got sick, and then I'm not doing anything, and then I feel bad about not doing anything. And then my kids went back to school, and I got healthy again, and I started like, I'm cleaning the house, I'm getting the chores done.
Yep.
I went up and I cleaned out our screened-in porch because I want to paint, and I'm like, I need that room to not be full of pollen before I go out and paint, so I'm going to do that so I can fill my well, so I can have like my arts happening and whatever. But so I've been doing like Clorox wipes on all of the like banisters and stuff out on the porch, and for like every day for like an hour. Right. And because after that it gets too hot. And then like doing all of that stuff, and then trying to get the book published, and then trying to make all these little things that are going to go in the book boxes when they eventually, and I feel like I'm doing, and I started exercising again.
Oh, good.
And I think just getting out and getting fresh air and all of that stuff, it makes me feel very energized, but I'm also aware of like, there's going to be a cutoff at some point where I've gone too far. So I need to figure out like what the balance is between doing all the things and then not being able to do anything.
Right. And I think that's what this time is. I think this is what September is. It's kind of, what does balance look like? Right. And I don't know if I want to talk about that any more than to say, I like how it feels to get up and think, oh, you've got to pull out those chicken breasts for dinner. And then give yourself like 30 seconds, and then your body gets up, goes downstairs, opens up the freezer, scurries around, pulls out the chicken breasts, puts them in the refrigerator, close the refrigerator door, and go back upstairs. That is the completion of that task. Yep. Right? And it feels good to be able to do that without 5 minutes of
yeah.
It's gonna take so long.
I know. I don't know. It's something about this season. I am just a fall girl, I think. It's very much like the temperature has dropped a little bit. I just have a lot more energy, and I'm a lot more like, I want to do small projects, and I want to do all kinds of new things. And I'm like I've fully spring cleaned my house, and it's not spring.
Right. Because I don't do cleaning in spring. I do it during the summer.
I don't do as much during the summer. I tend to like, I don't know. I never really understood this whole, like, everybody's got to get like their summer body and whatever, and you exercise and whatever. And I'm like, no, summer is where I do nothing. I like hibernate because I need the air conditioning. I'm not going outside if I don't have to. Except for like, I'll go to the pool for 2 hours every morning. And then when it starts to get hot, we come back in. Right. I'm just like hiding.
No, exactly, like hiding.
I am more likely to gain weight over the summer than I am Thanksgiving, Christmas, that whole section of time.
Yep, because you will only see me at night. I'm not when the temperature is cool. Right. All the rest of the time, I am inside of that house and I'm having food delivered. Yes.
I don't want to cook anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere.
No. And then on top of that, I put 4 pounds of fake hair on my head every summer. I do not know why this happens, but
it looks cool.
I love it.
And the color is very like, season bright, sunny, like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is the closest you will see me to like vibrant color, because I wear black. And you can always tell my daughters were involved because it has color. Yeah.
Well, I'm dyeing mine back to purple before I go to this conference next week. So when we talk on Thursday, I may have already dyed it because I'm leaving on Friday.
Which conference are you going to?
I'm going to. It's called Getting Witchy with It in Salem.
Nice.
And so yeah, it's all witchy writers and witchy books, and so people have tables and they're doing signings and stuff. I'm going as a reader this year to kind of scope it out.
Yeah.
But I went ahead and like reserved a half table for next year. So I
Hey.
will, because theoretically this time next year I will have 3 books out and I can be like, you want to buy a trilogy?
Right.
Um so
And you'll have a little merch out, and
yes,
you'll have stuff together,
I'll
and
have my bookmarks, I'll have my pins, I'll have all the stickers, and I'm just gonna. And my husband will go up with me next year to help
nice.
me set up. And then I'll just see how it goes when I'm surrounded by a bunch of other people who also are writing witchy type books. And um, plus Salem's really fun. I just haven't been to Salem since I don't know 20 years.
Yeah,
So I
easy.
really want to go and like. So for this one, I'm going by myself. I'm driving and I'm going up. I'm putting my kids on the bus Friday morning, and then I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to Massachusetts,
Uh-huh.
and then spending the night in a hotel and until Sunday, and then Sunday night I'm driving home, and then Monday I'm going to crash, and hopefully my husband remembers to put my kids on the bus in the morning because I will probably still be asleep.
Yes. Hold on. From where you are to Salem, is that 5 hours?
Oh no, it's more like 10. I'm in. Hold on, let me pull up a map. How? What does the Google say? The Google says 11 hours, but I swear it didn't take that long last time I did it.
Okay. I
Because I
have,
used to, I mean, admittedly, last time I did it, I was much younger.
and
Maybe
that
didn't
does,
stop to go to the bathroom as many times. But,
and
um,
that makes a difference. Let me tell you.
so we'll see.
But that sounds fun.
But, right? I haven't done a trip by myself probably since I was in my 20s. um, so I'm very excited about doing this and going
Oh,
out and being
take
there.
lots of pictures and let me know how it. Well, you're gonna let me know because we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
But what color purple are you gonna dye your hair?
This color.
Oh, oh, which one? What? Oh,
So this is I've used overtone before.
uh-huh.
And, I mean, you wash it out, but it's a conditioning color.
Mm.
So you put it in, and then I think last time I left it in for 20. They recommend like 10 to 15 minutes. Last time I left it in for 20. um, but that's how the color in my hair in my Instagram profile is
Mhm.
overtone. I had done blue and purple mixed together when I took that. That's the picture that I use for my all my author stuff.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, if I'm going up this thing, even as I'm going as a reader this year, but I'm also going as an author, I need to look like my profile picture. So I'm going to dye it purple again.
And plus, purple is just fun.
It's really fun. Well, and then I'm going to go to the witches ball on Saturday night. And so I'm going to wear this like long black velour dress that I have from like the late 90s. And so it's like an empire waist and little fluffy sleeves.
Hmm.
So I'm going to have this like long black dress and like the purple hair.
Oh wow, that sounds fun. It really does. It sounds like you're gonna have a blast, and I really hope you do
Yeah.
because it sounds like a blast, especially after an 11-hour trip.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm going to get there on Friday and just like have dinner and crash. And
Right.
then all of the events are Saturday and Sunday.
All right.
Um, so we'll see. I
So,
might go into Salem in the morning and do like a tour or something because the actual event that I'm going to is mostly in the afternoon on Saturday and then in the afternoon on Sunday because I didn't pay for the VIP entrance that gets you in early.
right. Uh huh.
I was like, nah, I'm just coming to like do research on what the thing looks like. I'll go in with the general populace. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm just like, this sounds so cool.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
so, we're about 40 minutes in, and this is going to take a minute because I've got 2 items on this. What are you loving this week?
Okay. So I just finished reading The Spellshop by
Hmm.
Sarah Beth Durst,
Yeah.
and it is super cozy, and it was really fun. It's like her 25th book. I've never read anything by her before. I just was reading her about the author in the back because I was like, there are certain things about this book that are similar to mine in theme. And some of the vibes are similar. And I was like, this might be something that I could use as a comp. But I did catch a couple of typos, and that made me feel better about myself because
Good.
she said trad pub, and I was like, dude, she's traditional published from like Harper Collins, I think, and it was like, and it still got some mistakes in it, and I'm like, if she could get away with it, then maybe it'll be okay if I didn't catch all of them. I think I caught all of mine. I had one ARC reader this time send me a thing where she had caught a typo where it was like two ands and like back to it was something you and her
Right.
no, that doesn't make, they're not supposed to be stuttering, let me take that out. So where last with the first book I had somebody, one of my arcs sent me like 7 mistakes and I was like, I'm glad she caught them and she told me about them. So either I'm getting to be better or they're just like harder to notice. I don't know. But anyway, the Spellshop is really cute. It starts, the opening chapter is the most like drama. There's the main character is a librarian at a magical library, and she her assistant is a sentient spider plant.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, because she just treats it like it's normal. It's never like, oh, this is a weird thing. And there's a revolution about to happen in her city, and in the first chapter the revolutionaries are taking over and they set the library on fire. And so she and the spider plant pack up as many books as they can into these big boxes, and then they put them on a boat and they take off.
Right.
And then it turns out that like she's not actually originally from the city. She's from this tiny island somewhere, but her parents are dead. But there's a house on this island that belongs to her parents that maybe will still be there. And so she's going to go there and try to hide out.
Right.
And so then the whole book is her trying to figure out how to live life on this island and survive. And then there's like a little bit of a rom-com plot line with the local fisherman that he's a merhorse herder.
Okay, this sounds a lot like the video game Wildflowers, or like any video game, like a cozy survival game.
It's very much feels that way. Yeah, it's really cute. The cover is gorgeous.
I saw it on your TikToks. It is so lovely.
It's so pretty. And like I was questioning while I was reading it because there's a picture on the cover. There's a little cat with wings, and you get like more than halfway through the book before she starts mentioning seeing cats with wings. And I was like, oh, I wonder what the conversation was with the designer about, because the main character is not on the cover, and then the spider plant is a major character, but there are no spider plants on the cover. And I was like, well, I think what they're doing is, if you draw a spider plant, it doesn't look magical, like, but
right.
So, but a cat with wings immediately tells the reader that there's magic in this book,
right?
So even though that was a smaller part of the book, it communicates to the reader what kind of book this is, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice that they made.
They did, but it absolutely worked,
right?
For what I'm seeing and what you're describing, those two things make sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm still working my head around the sentient spider plant, but
it just talks. I'm trying to picture, like, it doesn't have a mouth, but it talks. And then it like uses its leaves and its like vines as arms and stuff, and it helps her shelf books. Like, how much the plant can lift is kind of questionable and not necessarily super consistent through the whole book. Right. But he's kind of funny. He's deeply sarcastic. His name is Kaz.
Kaz, of course it is.
So, but yeah, her name is Keela and his name is Kaz. And yeah, and the people on the island are very diverse. There's like a woman that has 4 arms, and then there's a centaur, and then there's a woman that has like she's antlers. There's a little boy that has little horns. There's LGBTQ rep in it. I think that the main character reads as autistic to me, but it's not explicitly stated at any point.
Mm-hmm. This is
Um,
still sounding like Animal Crossing.
but it's really cute. It's so cute.
It sounds great. I'm loving two things this week. First, that globe that you have in your TikTok.
Oh yeah.
That snow globe that you have in your TikToks. I was like, what is this sorcery? Because that ain't she pretty.
It's so cool. It's like it's got bats in it.
I know! And it's really tall.
It is really tall.
And it has a gargoyle in it.
It is a gargoyle who definitely needs a name. I still have not settled on a name, but that's what he looks like.
And I was looking at you, shaking it and setting it up there. I'm like, that's a nice ball. I like that.
Right? It's cool.
It is so cool. And so I wanted to make sure that you knew that I was really digging your bat ball.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I went to Home Goods to try to find. On TikTok, I keep seeing people finding this full size cauldron that's cast iron that you can actually use on your stove.
Yeah.
At Home Goods for like $35, and I'm like, that's a really good deal. Yeah. So I have now been to like every Home Goods in this area trying to find it, and so I took my son to the last two, and he's fully in on the mission with me. Like, we're gonna find this thing, but then we don't find it. So then he talked me into getting that, largely because he decided he wanted to spend his allowance on this little chicken. It's like a carved wooden chicken that's got like quilt patterns on the sides of it, and then it's got like metal legs. It's like this. It's almost the same height as my snow globe, but it's a chicken, and I don't know why he loves it, but he does. So we're just gonna let him have that.
Right? I'm like, why question that? It sounds amazing.
but that was his first. We just started the allowance system. So they have a chore menu, and they can choose whatever they want to do, but they have to earn at least $5 or they don't get anything.
Right.
Every week. And so he has exceeded his. So he had like $14 to spend, and the chicken was only 10. So he's like, this is what I want. And there are other people in the store, and he's picking it out. He's looking at it. And he's like, the chicken. And I'm like, I'm glad you're excited about it. I'm like, all right, just to be sure, before we leave the store, this is how you want to spend your allowance.
Chicken!
Someone started laughing behind me, and she goes, that's fantastic. I love it. And
yeah.
I was like, but yeah, he's literally like his legs apart, and he's holding it up, and he's like, chicken! Like, he loves it.
Yes, he does. Let people enjoy shit. Right? Let people enjoy shit.
I don't know why he wants it. I don't know what he's gonna do with it, but he really
likes it.
Chicken
is his own reason. Chicken is his own reason.
It is. Solid.
And another thing that I don't know if we were recording when we were talking about this, but another thing that I'm loving is the show Kaos.
Oh yeah.
Or the retelling of Hades Land, starring Jeff Goldblum, the mom from Jessica Jones, Susie Izzard, and a bunch of amazing people.
It sounds so good.
It is so. Really it also has favorite tools for. Yeah, Lupin.
Yeah.
Or Ares with amazing abs from the Wonder Woman. I still don't know if those are his or not, but he just don't go with them. Anyway, it's so good. It is the story of Orpheus going down and getting Riddy, which is what they call her. Thank you, because I'm still having trouble pronouncing that girl's name.
Eurydice.
Eurydice?
Yeah.
Okay. They call her Riddy in the show. She dies, and they have a mechanism about reincarnation. Because Zeus, played by Jeff Goldblum, who is excellent at playing the bad guy. He is so good at being a bad guy who just puts so many points in charisma.
Mm-hmm.
And lack of self-awareness that he just seems to get away with everything. And then I love how they handle the fact that Zeus is essentially a pussy hound, right? and, uh, and how Hera just turns all these women into bees.
Yeah.
And they have moments where, even though it's really light, it's really funny, they turn right into the dark moments quick.
Okay.
So I'm going to save those for you because you're just like, oh, whoa, okay, but whoa. How do we get that dark that quick? I mean,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to turn up. Wait. Okay. And the narration with Prometheus, who is breaking the fourth wall.
Okay.
And I love that because I knew we were in for something when he and Zeus were having a conversation. Zeus says something really stupid, and Prometheus looks at us like, and that's why I knew we were into it.
So is the whole story his perspective then? It's Prometheus' point of view?
Yes, Prometheus is explaining it to you, but he goes back and forth explaining everything that you need.
Okay.
Everything that you need to understand about where we are and what these characters are doing so smoothly and so easily that it's just, you never get thrown out the story.
Okay.
And they also set it at a certain level of violence and darkness, but they present it so lightly that you don't realize how dark you're in until they make those little really hard dark turns. Kind of like Kevin can fuck himself.
Oh, that's on my list too. George doesn't want to watch that one though, so I got to figure out when I'm going to watch it when he's not around.
That, if you've ever dealt with a narcissist, especially one who doesn't lay their hands on you, I can see you being very triggered by actually Zeus in Kaos and in Kevin Kneff himself, because they have the same thing, or they use the same mechanic, where this guy who is honestly a very dangerous and horrible person, and he has the people who are around him because they rely on him for some external purpose, and he's paranoid, and he's trying to rope people into these dangerous and assaultive and abusive situations because he's trying to fill in a hole. It's the same thing.
Okay.
It's the same feeling. And how they're both thwarted is also the same and very entertaining. But and they're both set in this control where it's very dark, but using comedy as a mechanic to deliver those things, not mask them, but deliver them until they get the really hard turns. That experience is the same between the both of them.
Oh, okay.
So I was really enjoying those. So what are you planning? So what's the plan for next week?
Okay, so for next week, So I had told myself that I was going to start writing book 3 in September, and here we are.
Yeah.
And I have not started writing it. So probably that's what I need to do, because I'm at a point now, everything is uploaded to all the places for book 2. So I can't do anything until they do. I'm waiting on Ingram to decide whether they're going to approve my book and answer the questions that I asked them.
Right.
KDP is just waiting for the 13th to roll around. Draft to Digital is just waiting for the 13th to roll around. So next week I think I'm gonna keep working on that stuff that goes in the promo boxes, and then I really do want to sit down and start trying to get an hour or so of writing a day, so I can try and build back into the habit.
Right.
Because I've been doing revision and editing and business stuff for months now, and I'm not in the practice anymore of creating something new from scratch. So I got to get into that mindset and get that going. So I think that's what this week is going to be.
For me, it's going to be, it's going to be a couple of things. Number one, I'm taking some classes a digital marketing course and the AI course, and working on that, and getting the podcasts up.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two I'm working on. I have a little. I have a card project that I'm working on a little bit by a little bit, and
Okay.
I'm going to put no pressure on that. And Medusa's Trucking, that game, I'm getting some ideas for that, and I'm piecing in together those for that. The cards for Stabby are on their way. The books from Stabby are on their way. So I need to let folks know that those things are on their way.
Mm-hmm.
It's small things. We can
Yeah.
get these things done.
Yeah. Just need to be able to check off a few things from
Yes.
the list.
And just learning to communicate with folks.
Yeah.
And that fear is fading. And so we're going to
Oh,
see
with
how
your
that works.
backers for Kickstarter? You're learning to communicate with your Kickstarter backers?
Yeah, I'm learning how to
Yeah.
communicate in general.
Oh, okay.
So yes. So yes, that too. Those are the things that I want to get done. And we're going to see because I'm ready.
Yay.
Yay. All right then. And sometime, maybe in the next month or so, we might want to consider either getting an opening or a trailer for this podcast.
Oh, oh yeah. We might want to do something like that.
I said, yeah, let's talk about that next week.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to keep on giggling until we stop this. So, why don't we wrap this up?
All right. All right. I will see you next week.
All right, then.
And
I'll see you next week and
all
talk to
right.
you sooner.
Bye.
Bye.